I'll never forget the story my niece told me. She works at a high school just outside Dallas. Big place, over 1,000 students, shiny new buildings, lots of young teachers fresh out of college. And then there was Mr. Harris. Everyone just called him Mr. H. Mr. H was the janitor. 68 years old, walked with a slight limp, always had a faded baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Every morning he swept the halls before the kids arrived. Every afternoon he wiped down the cafeteria tables. Every evening he locked up, carrying his big ring of keys that clinked with every step. Most people barely noticed him. Teachers walked past without saying a word. Students joked about him under their breath. Even the principal once said, thinking he was out of earshot, "That man's been here so long, he's practically part of the floor." One young teacher, Mark, was especially rude. He'd laugh when he saw Mr. H scrubbing gum off the desks. "Could have been me," he'd joke to the other teachers. "Good thing I went to college instead." Mr. H never reacted, never raised his voice, just kept working. Then came the day of the fire. It was a Thursday afternoon, just after lunch. The students had just finished eating pizza and soda. The science wing was running experiments with burners that day. Most of the kids were in class when the fire alarm started blaring. Smoke poured out of the science labs, thick and black, curling along the ceiling. The teachers froze. Some ushered kids toward exits, but others stood still, unsure where the safest route was. The fire plan had been practiced, sure, but drills never feel real. Mark panicked. His classroom had no windows. The nearest exit? He couldn't remember. He tried to call the office, but the line was dead. That's when he saw Mr. H. The janitor wasn't running. He wasn't shouting. He was moving fast, but calm, keys jangling as he unlocked a maintenance door. "Follow me!" Mr. H yelled, his voice steady. Mark hesitated. "How do you know where to go?" Mr. H shot him a look. "I've known this building longer than you've been alive." "Son. Now, move." Mark followed, leading his class behind him. They weaved through back corridors, past old storage closets Mark didn't even know existed, down a hidden stairwell that hadn't been used in years. Smoke chased them, filling the hallways behind. They burst out a side door into fresh air. Outside, kids coughed, teachers counted heads, sirens wailed in the distance. Parents began to arrive, panic on their faces. Only then did Mark realize Mr. H was gone. A moment later, Mr. H emerged from the smoke again, carrying a scared little girl in his arms. She'd gotten lost in the bathroom, too frightened to leave. He handed her to a waiting paramedic, then sat down on the curb, coughing quietly, his hands trembling. His baseball cap was singed at the edges. When the fire was out and everyone was accounted for, the principal approached Mr. H, his voice unusually soft. "You saved them all," the principal said quietly. "How did you know exactly what to do?" Mr. H wiped his brow with his sleeve. 30 years as a firefighter before I ever held a mop," he said softly. "Old habits don't die easy." The next day, the school held an assembly. Mark stood up in front of the students and faculty. He admitted how he'd laughed, how he'd judged, how he never once thought to ask Mr. H about his life. "I thought he was just the janitor," Mark said, voice breaking. "But turns out he was the bravest man in the building." And from that day on, no one ever overlooked Mr. H again. The school dedicated a plaque in his honor by the main entrance. Not for his years cleaning floors, but for the hundreds of lives he quietly protected every single day. And every morning after that, When Mr. H pushed his broom down the hallway, the kids didn't just walk past. They nodded. They smiled. They said, "Good morning, Mr. H. Dot." And he'd smile right back, tip his old cap, and keep walking, as steady and humble as ever. Because real heroes, they don't need to shout. They just show up every day, ready to serve.